Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Food, Wine, and Travel Show, where we go across country and travel the world with members of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. Let's go. Hey, everybody, you know we love our travel shows with the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. And every second Tuesday, we get to go to a different destination to talk with the destination manager and to learn more about the area. And today we are going over the American, the United States border, I should say, into Canada. We're going to British Columbia to Surrey. And a lot of us will know Surrey from England, but this is Surrey in British Columbia, Canada. And you can go to the website, discoversurreybc.com. The link is in the show notes, the episode notes. But we're going to chat with Ange Chew. And welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you for having me, Lisa. This is great. Looking
We're
forward.
excited. I know. I was on your website and I'm like, we got to go here. I mean, obviously, you've got nature. It seems that you have like a very diverse community. Is that right for the area?
Yeah,
I want to kind of start there. Yeah.
yeah. Surrey, it has we have over 100 languages being spoken in our community. We've been very
Wow.
open to immigration, and we're a city under transformation. So we have a very diverse community. We like to say we are a vibrant mosaic of our multiculturalism here in Surrey. We're in the Pacific Northwest, and if you were on a road trip, Surrey would be the first community that you would arrive to if you were to drive over the border from Washington.
Oh, okay. So we were a couple years ago, we were in Anacortes area of Washington State. Like,
Mhm.
so we didn't have to go that far to get to you?
No, we're just about 2.5 hours north
Gee.
of Seattle. And so probably the biggest city that BC is known for is Vancouver. So Surrey's south of Vancouver. So between
Oh.
Bellingham and Vancouver is Surrey.
Okay. So now what's it like going over? What should people be prepared for if they are Americans, United States Americans, not just North Americans? And then what should people from overseas travelers that may have flown into Seattle, come in from, Europe or England, what should they be prepared to have to come in to see you since you're so
Well, I think
close?
Well, I think the biggest thing is having a passport. I mean,
Mm.
and also always check with Canadian Border Services to find out for your specific country what are the paperwork, if there's a visa requirement. Most people from the United States only require a passport, but if
Mm.
you're from other countries, there might be other visa requirements that
Okay.
is necessary. But for the most part, if you're United States or a European, is mostly just having your passport, a valid passport with at least, depending on your country, it might be 6 months of valid time before your passport expires. Those things I would say is check with immigration to know
Okay.
those rules. That's a little bit beyond me,
Yeah, I'm
but
not trying to go
that's
through every
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we can't go through all the countries in the world, but
No,
just in
no,
general, just for people to know, hey, well, we want to cross over the border, be prepared, make sure you know. And
yeah,
because it's true, Seattle is such a huge, destination, a global destination.
yeah,
And if you're right over the border, hey, like now I'm like bummed out. Like we're gonna have to come back, to the Pacific Northwest so we can come see you because like I was
yeah.
saying, I was on your website and I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. I love multicultural destinations because
Hmm.
number one, you hear all these languages, everyone's got a cool story, and
Yeah.
that means you have really good food from what
Yeah,
I've learned.
and we were in the in Food and Wine magazine in 2023. We're
Mm.
saying we made it because of the diversity of global cuisine that's available in Surrey. So we have a spice trail. It's spicetrailsurreybc.com is the
Oh wow.
website. And it's 60 partners and is anchored on South Asian or Indian foods, but it also
Ooh,
has Ghanaian, Nigerian,
ooh.
Mexican, Thai, Vietnamese, Chinese. So it's really a reflection of the multiculturalisms that is available in Surrey.
Okay, so that means we're gonna get good food
Hmm.
So a spice trail, that's really cool because it's kind of like reminds me of the ancient spice route. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? As a kid, I was always enamored by this. These people went around and shared spices around the world. I mean, there were some battles over it, I'm sure, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, so we named our trail the Spice Trail because we wanted to talk about the flavors, the diversity of flavors available in Surrey. It's not about the heat, like in it's like chilies or hot. It's just different spices used to take to flavor different multicultural foods. Like, you have lemongrass and
Oh,
and um and cilantro for your Asian and your Thai, but then you have your clove and your cinnamon and your garlic masala for Indian food. But in our Indian food that we have available in Surrey, we actually have regionality. So we have like the Northern Indian, which is more about the tandoor oven and the butter, the ghee, the
oh,
richness. And then in Southern, for Southern Indian, it's more about coconut milk, coconut oil, coconut cream. So it's very good if you're a vegan or you're gluten allergies, because they're more about rice and lentils, fermented rice,
okay,
fermented lentils. So then you have this, it's a different cuisine and more fish and more drier dishes, not so
okay,
saucy. And then we have a new cuisine that's sort of been getting more popular, is what we like to call either Nepalese or Indo-Chinese. So it's
okay.
really Chinese food with Indian flavors. And there's also dumplings called momos that are available.
Okay. Now the dumplings, I know that British Columbia seems to be known like for dumplings. So
Hmm.
your area too. So
Yeah,
that's
so we're known for Indian dumplings, but then in just to the northwest in Richmond, British Columbia,
mhm.
they have they're more known for their Asian cuisine, and they also
Okay.
have a trail called the Dumpling Trail for Asian
Oh,
dumplings.
so we can go to spice
Yeah, yeah,
to dumpling. This is
yeah,
amazing. This is so interesting. So you eat all this good food, so you have to have outdoor experiences to kind of
yeah.
balance it out. And I'm thinking, give us like a profile of what it's like year round, because I think we're all going to go, oh, go there for summer, obviously, right? It's going to be, but the Pacific Northwest, since you're at the, that top part of well, just over the border of Washington
Yeah.
State, you're not, it doesn't, because of the water, you're probably not going to be in that massive snow zone that can
No,
happen.
no, we will, occasionally we have snow for a couple days or a week, but mostly we're quite temperate. We get a lot of rain. The weather is
Mhm.
very similar to like Seattle. So in the fall and the winter, you can have beautiful fall days with the leaves change colors. So you do have each of the four seasons bring different adventures and different experiences in Surrey. So spring is all about the gardens and flowers and the regrowth coming back, and summer is warm and we have a lot of our festivals and events. And then in fall is the changing of fall colors, and then in the winter it's cooler. But one of the cool things, as long as it's above 5 degrees Celsius, you can golf. So I think in the 40s for Fahrenheit. So we're an all season golf
So in
destination.
other words, you're not freezing.
No, we're not freezing.
It's
No.
above freezing, you can golf. Yeah.
Majority of the time, yes, above freezing, so so we're very temperate. We're very similar to Seattle in temperature. So if we do get a lot of wetness, but we like to call it liquid sunshine.
Oh,
It helps our trees grow, and we're home to a lot of urban forests. So destination British Columbia has launched a new trail called Iconic Trail, from, we like to call it, rainforest to the Rockies, and you can
oh,
start your rainforest experience in Surrey.
oh, no way. How big is Surrey as like a population, as a city?
I believe right now we're the second largest community in BC behind Vancouver for population. Landmass, we're probably the largest city in British Columbia, but within the next 5 years, we'll be the largest population in British Columbia. So
Wow.
I think we're sitting in the high 500s, the low 600s right now. There hasn't been
Oh,
a recent census
that's
study,
nice
so
though.
a good size.
It's good, but it's not like crazy. You know what I
No,
mean?
no, it's a good size. And we go from tidal beaches all the way to the Fraser Valley where we have lush farmlands. So we have that diversity of, you can come and have that seaside experience, walk on the beach, go,
Wow.
look at go crabbing and clamming and fishing. You can even go whale watching out of Surrey. So, those are some
Mm.
things that people wouldn't think about in Surrey that they can do. And then we have all our, in the east part of Surrey and in our neighborhood of Cloverdale is where we celebrate, our agritourism, our ranching history, our farming history. We've had the Cloverdale Rodeo and Country Fair for 76 years. Next year will be 77 years. So we have lots of good events. We're in July, we're having on the 20th weekend, we're going to have Fusion Fest, which is our
Oh,
multicultural festival over 3 days. And it's all about diversity and learning about different cultures, the different cultures in
cool.
Surrey. So it's a mix of um, music, and learnings about different cultures.
Cool.
And it's free in
Oh,
Holland
that's
Park.
cool. Well,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So
And you talk about free because, yeah. So, as a destination, do you get a lot of families, or is it
yeah,
business travel, or
we
a little
get
bit
it.
of all?
We get a mix. So we do have a lot of traveling families, but also mature adults traveling
Hmm.
in outside of the summer season. But we're also too, Surrey's a good place to start your bigger BC trip. Like, if you're going to several destinations, Surrey can be your starting point. So, but we do get a lot of business travel also because people are on a route, usually they have a sales mission or they have corporate
Mm.
business. Surrey has a lot of manufacturing in our
Oh,
southeast
okay.
corner, so we do bring in a lot of business travelers that way. We do have meeting and events and conference space available for people, like for groups of 500 or less. So we do have a diversity. We do also participate with a lot of national and North American sport tournaments. One of our biggest ones is coming up is the Canada Cup. It's
Oh,
multi-nation global baseball, softball, I say tournament in Surrey. So we
oh,
have like a large diversity. We have farmers markets, lots of things to do and enjoy during the summertime in
yeah.
Surrey. We also celebrate, we have one of the largest Canada Day celebrations in Western Canada. So that will be on July 1st, but I think,
Yeah, this is
that's
out a little, yeah.
yeah, that's a
But
little bit
that's good for,
out of
but that's
scope.
good for
Yeah.
people to look at next year. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people are going to be looking at planning even for summer next year, and to actually
Yeah.
understand some of that heritage is good. So your families, you've got business.
Yeah.
What is the downtown like for
The
folks
town
to?
is totally under transformation right now in Surrey. It's in North Surrey. We have a lot of urban towers, but we also have our first Black's Art Center. We have Holland Park, which is where most of our festivals and events take place. Actually, on the weekend of July the 13th, we're actually having the Surrey Latin Festival over 2 days, over the Saturday and Sunday. So, we have the Latin Festival, then we have the Fusion Fest. So there's going to be lots to do in July in Surrey, but very multicultural. There's also farmers markets, but and we have an urban farmers market that is in our what we would consider our downtown area of
Mm,
Surrey. So
s-
it's
cool.
comprised of a couple of university has campuses here, so it's very urban. But if you
Mm,
go towards South Surrey and Crescent Beach, you sort of have getting more like a seaside community with beaches, little quaint little coffee shops and ice cream. You go into
cool.
Cloverdale and it's more like a small town. And
Okay.
so each of the neighborhoods of Surrey offers a different vibe for the visitor to experience.
Yeah, that's really nice. And I saw that you have wineries and breweries too.
Yes,
That's
we do.
important to touch on.
We're part of the South of the Fraser craft brewery tour. We have we have 3 breweries in Surrey that brew here locally. So we're quite excited
Mm.
to be part of the trail with our neighbors in White Rock and Richmond for that trail. But we're also part of a bird watching for those bird watching
Oh, I love
enthusiasts.
that. Yeah.
So I think one of the cool things is in Blackie Spit. which is by Crescent Beach in Surrey. We're one of the best winter waterfowl viewing locations in Canada for
Oh,
those
wow.
birders out there. So,
Oh,
we have a little bit of diversity for everyone, but we have a few wineries in Surrey, and we partner with our wineries in our neighboring community of Langley. So, there's a trail of 6 to 9 wineries that you could go check out with some, if you want to throw in a cidery in there, there's a cidery also in Langley. So, you can go
wow.
for some wine. And then we also have one of our local restaurants right in downtown Surrey called Sky Avenue Kitchen and Lounge has probably the largest curated whiskey collection in Canada. So, those whiskey drinkers are here, but we also in
Wow.
Southeast Surrey, we also have Mainland Distilling, which is a whiskey manufacturing and whiskey maker, a craft whiskey maker. So they make local whiskey. So you can have somebody who's a restaurant who's curating and bringing in different brands, or you can try what's being made locally at Mainland.
Wow.
And Steve and his wife Melanie are have been strong supporters of tourism, and they put on fun events at their distillery in South
This
Surrey.
is amazing. So you've got, distilleries, you've got breweries, wine, you've got all this different food, the Spice Trail, you've got outdoor adventures, nature, birding,
Yep,
beach, forest. Okay, you got downtown, you've got, actual city stuff going on, the urban
yep,
life. Okay, you've got business travel. Okay, what about weddings? Oh, festivals, farmers markets,
yep,
small towns. Okay, am I
yep.
getting this all straight here? Okay.
Yeah,
And this
you
is
are.
golf.
Yep.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
that's there. So it's year round. Summer
Yep.
obviously being the warmest, but year round, not too much snow. And if it's
Yep.
snow, then it's like, oh, that's pretty. Whale watching.
Yep.
So all of this is going on in one city, like,
Yep.
and that is not too
One
big.
community. No, it's not too well. The
It's what you're
community is
saying, the
big.
biggest in BC, but then
Yeah.
we all think of cities. We're like, are you going to be like LA? You know what I mean?
No,
But
no,
no,
it's not like LA. We don't have the
no,
population. No, we don't have that density of population. But what you
which is
can do
nice.
is, you can pick a neighborhood to explore one day, and then the next day you can say, well, today I'm going to go to, Blackie Spit in South Surrey, and then or Crescent Beach, and then next day I said, oh, I can go explore, go antiquing or
Ooh,
shopping in Cloverdale, and I can check out the local museum and we were very lucky. We have a heritage railway that actually runs on a railroad track. It's
oh,
done by the organization is like over 100 volunteers that it's open on the weekends, and they refurbish trains from the 1900s. So, you
that's
can get
cool.
so for that train enthusiast, they can actually ride in a train that's now been converted to use electricity and ride on the rails. And they have this, a little bit of history. They talk about their refurbishment projects. They talk about, some of the tools and some of the other contraptions, the railway contraptions that used to be used during the 1900s.
Wow. So you've
Mhm.
got history too.
Yeah, we got history and
Do you have
we
museums
got
and things like that
yeah,
as well?
we do. We have the Museum of Surrey, and the nice thing about the Museum of Surrey, it's free. We also
Mm.
have the historic Stewart Farm, which is another municipal-owned historic site, and right there next to it is we have an Indigenous Learning Center,
Oh,
and
cool.
it's right on the Nickelmeckle River. So you have a nice water, sort of like a little riverfront view, and you can go
Oh,
paddleboarding or kayaking or canoeing in the
oh,
Nickelmeckle. And then it also has the ability to have motorized boats going up and down the river too. It gives you access to out to Boundary Bay, Mud Bay, and out to the Pacific
very
Ocean.
cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So a lot. So what about the lodging? What is what are you have hotels, you have bed and
Yep.
breakfast,
We
Airbnb
have,
kind of things,
yeah,
or
we have a mix of everything. We have a lot of national and international recognized brands like the Marriott. We have a
Mhm.
Bonvoy, a Marriott at the Civic Hotel. We have the Sheraton Guildford. We also have like the Best Westerns, Ramadas, Hampton Inns, Comfort Inns. So we have a diversity of a range of recognized national brands for hotel stays.
Mhm.
And then on the short-term rental side or Airbnb side, we have private homes, secondary suites, and we have about 1,600 available in the city. Diversity, 2 bedrooms or one
Wow.
bedroom, like in suite, like a secondary suite in our community that is available. So there is a diversity of accommodations available in Surrey. And then the best thing is we have a SkyTrain, which is our metro line, which brings
Okay.
you from King George Station all the way. You can ride it all the way to downtown Vancouver. You don't need
Wow.
to drive. Yeah.
That's not, so is that's kind of a green initiative too,
Yeah. Yeah.
so what is Surrey like in regards to environmental practices? Is that something that's being looked at, or have you,
Yeah. Surrey, between our golf courses, our farmlands, our green space, 50% of Surrey is green. So
wow,
between our parks,
that's pretty good.
we have over 800 parks in our community.
What?
Yes.
You mean we need to come document you now?
Yeah, yeah. So one of the coolest thing is we have Redwood Forest, which was a passion
Wow.
project for two twin brothers, and they brought tree seeds from around the world, and they planted tree grows, different types of tree grows in Surrey, and we actually have some of the largest redwoods outside of California in Surrey. That
No way.
and Surrey is actually the home of reforestation. So when we had clear cutting for forestry way back when, Surrey was like, okay, we cut down our trees. What are we going to do? So they were home of reforestation. So they got all the little plants and they replanted all the forests that were cut, and then they said, "Oh no, we have still so many seedlings." So they actually sent those seedlings throughout BC to help replant other forests that had been cut.
Wow.
So we really work with that, but also too, the city has been really good with keeping natural forest, urban forest in each of our neighborhoods. So
That's
each of our
fantastic.
neighborhoods, we have an urban, either a rainforest or an urban forest.
Who gets to say that I have a rainforest in my town, my
Yeah.
neighborhood? I mean,
Well,
but because that's quality of life, right? Is that so?
yeah.
It seems that you recognize that. I mean, even when you're looking at the diversity of culture and having a place for everyone, and working on community, it seems like quality of life is at the
Yeah.
top, really, of what Surrey is about.
Yeah, and what we want to do is, and there's walking trails within those forests so that, they're easy,
Okay,
they're
cool.
manageable, they're hard part gravel, so you could bring a baby carriage or a walker in there with you. Our city is all the municipal buildings in Surrey, especially like our recreation centers for sports and sports tourism,
Mhm.
are built to the Rick Hansen gold standard of accessibility. So those are something that
Mm.
the city really strives for. So, we're looking at ensuring that, everybody, we're an inclusive and authentic community.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. This it well, see, as a traveler, when you hear about communities being inclusive like that, then you feel more welcome going there. You want to go because you
Yeah.
don't feel you know what I mean? It feels like people will talk to you and be nice.
Yeah.
It's like welcoming and warm, you
Well, and
know?
also too, you just get to see, it's very hard to get a community where you have that is our size, that has that diversity of cuisine, like you have, we also have the West Coast dining, like your seafood and your, modern farm to table experiences
Mhm.
also. In fact, I'm going tonight to a long table event. So
Oh, one of those. So everyone's getting
yeah,
together on one big table and
yeah. yeah, it's put on by our Downtown Surrey BIA. So, there's a lot of different things
Wow.
to see and do and enjoy. I mean, on the weekend we have multiple events happening every weekend, and so you can choose to go to see a sporting event or go to the farmers market or see if there's something cultural that's happening in Surrey. You get
Well,
to
how do any of you get any work done? It's
well,
like,
that's why we have to be in the office.
but that's the thing. It seems like there's so much. So I would encourage people to go to discoversurreybc.com,
Hmm.
because that's where you can go find the events, your lodging,
Yep.
pretty much
Yep.
everything, right?
Yep. All our
For to plan
information.
your, yeah.
And we
So,
also have a chat box. If you come to a website, we have a live people answering chat. If you have any questions or specific
okay.
questions that you would like to learn or know more about Surrey, we also have a 1-800 number that you can call that's on our website if you want to actually speak to somebody versus just,
Wow,
look and
really?
search. So yeah, we have a,
Someone will actually answer the
yeah,
phone.
somebody will answer the phone. So, we're a small organization, but we represent a very dynamic
Mm.
and very dynamic and transformative city. Is like, Surrey has very much changed in the last 5 to 10 years from being a suburb of Vancouver into being its own destination. And that's something that
Wow,
we're
that's
really
amazing.
working
That's
on
pretty fast. That's pretty
to
fast.
tell the story, right?
Mm,
So
mm,
is how Surrey is changing and becoming a destination on its own, and
mm.
it's one of the things that we work as a destination marketing or management organization is working with our partners to help them develop new experiences or how to grow their and develop their, add on to their festival. Or, we talk to like somebody like the Honeybee Center is they have the
Mhm.
Honeybee Festival that's coming up this summer, and they're going to have bee beards and a whole bunch of other things. And it's like, how do we work with them to help drive awareness for the things and the initiatives that they're doing that would appeal to a visitor?
Mhm. Wow, this is cool. We're we're just gonna have to go back west again. You see?
I
I
know.
don't know.
And
Now we're
honeybee,
gonna have to hop over the border. It seems
yeah,
so easy. We got a passport. I mean,
yeah,
just
yeah.
drive over.
Well,
Yeah,
especially if you're from Washington, it's a
yeah.
quick drive over. Even Oregon, it's not that
Hmm.
far.
No,
I mean,
not at
from
all.
Oregon, I think it's about 6 hours, depending on how much
That's
um, how
nothing.
much how much traffic there's in
Yeah, yeah, in Seattle.
Getting through
Seattle.
Portland and Seattle. So, we're part of the Pacific Northwest, and I think we offer, I think, especially culinary wise, offers like a little bit of a different choice, especially with the South Asian and sort of our Canadian African dining experiences.
Oh, okay. That's
I know in
different.
the United States, you have a lot of, you know, Southern or comfort foods. But
Hmm.
we do have we have our Jamaican, our Caribbean, but the Ghanaian,
I
the
like that.
Nigerian, so there's some other African
Yeah,
um,
yeah, I'm in. I'm all
diversity of,
in.
food, right? So,
Yeah,
and
I miss that. I miss that. I
we,
miss Indian food. What about Native American? What would it's the indigenous peoples. I was going to say that's
Yeah,
not gonna,
Indigenous people, we actually have, there is a Métis art gallery in Surrey that's at Gateway. You do have to book an appointment to go visit
Mhm,
their art gallery, but just on, oh, just on Friday of last week, we had
mhm,
our Indigenous or National Indigenous Peoples Day, and we had a
mhm,
celebration at the Build Read um, arena or area in Surrey, that's in Cloverdale, celebrating the three nations that make up Surrey, which is
mhm.
the Simayanu, Kwantlen, and Katsi nations. So we're there, and Chief Harley Chappelle was there to talk about his nation's reconciliation and
Mhm.
you know how to move forward in celebrating Indigenous culture in Surrey. So
It's so important because even I just immediately said, "Oh, Native American," but I'm like, "Oh, we're talking about Canada, so that wouldn't be what to say." And so for travelers, that's also important to kind of understand, crossing over into a different, you
Yeah,
are in a different country. So you
yeah.
don't typically say Native American like we do here. And even
No,
that's up and down on that. So we don't know
we
quite always,
we
you know.
we use indigenous, indigenous,
I
indigenous.
just call people by their name, but when we're talking about
We,
groups of
yeah,
people, yeah, so indigenous peoples.
yeah, indigenous peoples are, and we do have indigenous learning center that is next to the historic Stewart Farm, and
Yeah,
our nations are using that as a learning space and offering some opportunities for the public. It's a new
mhm,
center, so they're working
that's
out
cool.
everything. We do have an exhibit, a rotating Indigenous peoples exhibit at the Museum of Surrey. So it is moving forward. Even the Cloverdale Rodeo and Country Fair has an Indigenous village area with culture, food, arts showcase too. So, I think as we move forward as a community, we're seeing more opportunities to showcase all our cultures.
I love that. I love that. It sounds like so much fun. I love the vibrancy of it, as you were saying. I like that. That sounds exciting for people to go to and get ready for good food, man. Really, I think
So
that, and also have those conversations. I love this event you're talking about that you're going to tonight. So it's like everyone gets together. It's like, let's build bridges, right? And you can
yeah,
do that through food and big tables, which
yeah,
that's amazing. So everyone sits together and can have those conversations with someone you may not know, from
yeah,
a
and
different walk of life.
it's celebrating that farm to table because there
Mm,
is so much of Surrey that is farmland. We're a very big blueberry, cranberry, but we have commercial farms in Surrey. So we have like the $8 million blueberry farm. So large commercial production, but local, right? So, but
mm.
one of the things is I was going to ask you, have you watched the show on Netflix called Is It Cake?
Not yet. Not yet.
So we
Ooh.
have a local baker in Surrey. His name is Jajar Man. He owns Man and Co. And he was one of the contestants on that
Oh,
show.
cool.
So
Cool.
he this is where we have a diversity of culture. So he is French trained, and but he puts South Asian flavors in his
Okay.
pastries. And
Ooh.
he just turned 25 years old on today, which is
Oh, happy birthday.
yeah, on the 25th of June, he's
Yes, we
25
record.
years
Yeah.
old. Yeah, so he
Wow.
was on the show and he made it all the way to the end.
Well, that's
So
awesome. That is
yeah.
fantastic. Get Surrey out there for people to know too, right?
Well, it's also thinking of, when we think of South Asian flavors, we're thinking, cuisine and not so much baked goods, right? Like
That's
in a
true
French
too, right?
tradition, right? So you do think of South Asian pastries or Indian pastries that are very traditional, but you don't think about in having South Asian flavors in a French style patisserie.
Right. Wow, this is cool. We're going to come
Yeah,
see you. We're going to come
yeah,
see you. We're going to get to
anytime.
whip our passport out. Everyone, discover surreybc.com. And, this is what we love doing these shows with the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association. We say IFTWA. So you can go to ifwtwa.org. They have an awesome conference coming up in upstate New York. Are you going to trek out to upstate New York? I
I
think you should.
unfortunately am not going to make it this year because it's a long way for me to go.
Yeah. But I think you were kind of part of the last year one. I know
Yeah,
people
but yeah,
came
we
up to.
hosted we hosted the IFQA group on a FAM before they got on their cruise. So
That is
they got to
awesome.
sample some of the international cuisine that's available in Surrey, and you can talk to any of the writers. I think they were surprised and delighted
Yeah.
in the diversity of food that they got to try.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I think, more countries and destinations need to embrace the diversity side of aspect, because once you start tasting each other's food, you've got food in your mouth and everyone might as well just be nice and smile while you chew. Have a happier
I
world that way.
Well,
You
I
know?
think I think one of the things is all the different cultures, and everyone loves to share. And the easiest way to share their culture is through food. Is,
And
we
that's
all
through heart and
eat.
soul, right?
Yeah,
It's
we
heart and
all
soul.
eat, and just having that diversity of flavors. And we're very lucky in North America because we do have a diversity of food, like global foods available in most of our communities. I mean, but if you go to certain countries, that's not true, right? That diversity is not there. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things that we did learn about from the Food and Wine magazine article, was like, there was Venice, and they were known for Italian food, and a place in Mexico was for Mexican food, whereas Surrey was like, it was the diversity of global cuisine.
Mm,
And anchored on, these are mom and pop chefs, mom and pop owners. So these are their dreams. It's not like a fancy chef that is world renowned. They're trying to show their culture and live out their dream in Surrey by opening up their restaurants. And it
that's
can be a
amazing.
little hole in the wall to fancy dining, but
Food trucks, you
and
never know. Yeah.
yeah, it's and some places, just sell, like we have one place that is a Golgappa bar. So they're it's an Indian sort of palate cleanser, or appetizer, and you get a little silver tray and you go up and buy your ticket, 6, 12, 18, however many we want. And it's a little hollow cracker, and they put potato and lentil, and then they have different flavored waters. The tradition is mint, but they have guava, raw mango,
Oh,
sweet and spicy, extra spicy, and you just let the staff know behind the counter what you want your Golgappa dipped in. And they dip it in, and it's filled with water, and you have to put everything in your mouth at once, but it's a flavor bomb in your mouth, and you eat 3 or 4 or 6, and then you leave and you go somewhere else, and there's a lineup behind you that is waiting. Like, it's a typical street food experience that you would get in India.
that's amazing. And
Yeah.
you're helping small business. That's what I
Yeah.
think is so great.
Yeah.
In this day and age, I think we're so everything is bought online. I mean, shopping, that's the thing. Part of travel is also shopping, and supporting those small businesses and buying something that not everybody else has. I
Yep.
don't want us to lose that experience.
Well, and that's one of the cool things about Surrey, is we do have the largest North American mall in BC, called Guildford Town
Oh,
Center, but we also have Payal Center, which is like sort of our heart of South Asian shopping. It's like where you go to get your saris and your jewelry and your different fabrics. So that's where South Asians, like if you're going wedding planning or somewhere, you would go to Payal Center and make an appointment with a dressmaker, or go check out. Like for me, I like to go check out the different fabrics and the different jewelry stores, and then there's always food there, so it's kind of hard not to have a little snack while you're there. But we also
I always
have,
want to snack.
Cloverdale, which is a large, a lot of little antique shops and independent retailers that are also, that
Oh,
small community vibe that, when I was talking about like that small town vibe, and those are independent retailers that are not chain, and
I like.
they're selling, their wares there. But then we also have, we do have our anchors, and, so if you're looking for your Sephora or
Yeah, you've
your
got to have, yeah,
yeah,
there's that
yeah,
balance.
Old
Yeah,
Navy, we have that also, right? So it's
yeah.
nice to have that nice mix, right?
It's balance.
So
It's a good
we do,
balance.
it's a good balance, and we have the indoor malls and the outdoor malls. So you can choose your shopping experience if that's what you want. But
Or do it all.
we also have a lot of things that are made locally in Surrey. So we try to celebrate that too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, to me, when you travel, I want to go and do something new. I want
Mm,
to buy something that, is something representative of the area, something that, a friend of mine, if I'm buying a gift, that is something that she or he is not going to see in their hometown. I want something, that resonates with them that I can say, man, I saw this, I thought of you, you know what I mean, because of this, and it has a story connected, you
Well,
know?
and I think that's one of the things, like, there's Cloverdale Market Days showcasing a little local artisan, but we have the Clayton Farmers Market, where we have the Surrey Urban Farmers Market, where you also have the local cuisine, local fruits and vegetables, but
Mhm.
also our local artisans are there, whether it's showcasing local honey or makeup products, or jewelry or clothing or art pieces, that is coming from being in a community, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So everyone, discover surreybc.com. We're going to come over, pop over the border. It's easy. Just have your passport. Everyone, make sure your passports are renewed all the time. It's a good
And
habit to have.
and if you don't want to drive, we're Surrey's in between two international airports with Vancouver International and Abbotsford International on the Canadian side of the border. You can fly into either of those airports, but you can also fly into Bellingham or Seattle and drive up from
Yeah.
Washington. So, very central. You could also, if you're on part of a cruise that's heading out to Alaska, leaving from the port of in Vancouver, you can spend a day or a day out in Surrey, take the Sky Train out and come out and explore what we have
Oh,
here on the food side of things or on
that's
the shopping
awesome.
side of things. Yeah.
Awesome. So very easy to get to. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. And everyone, ifwtwa.org, check them out. But thank you so much. You've piqued our interest and got us all like hungry here. I'm hungry. You know,
That's what,
can
I am there to tease
uh,
you with your taste, with all the different flavors of
I
Surrey.
know
So,
that was mean.
yeah.
Thanks so much, Angie.
Thanks, Lisa, for having me today. I appreciate the time and the opportunity to talk about Surrey.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio's Food, Wine, and Travel Show featuring members of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. We encourage you to visit their website. We say IFTWA, which is ifwtwa.org. You can also follow us at bigblendradio.com. Happy travels, everyone!